Major showcase of 2025 this week. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, January 24th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. The big showcase this week was Xbox Developer Direct. Even they're getting called directs nowadays. Anyway, they didn't have a lot of titles to talk about, but and even then, I'm truncating some of the list as well. I am excited for South of Midnight. I'm glad that it got an official date. South of Midnight will be launching April 8th, so I'll be looking forward to playing that. And yeah, I've always thought the vibes looked really good, and the soundtrack to it, kind of says that bluegrassy banjo sound to it that I think is really going to be really cool. So I'm looking forward to South of Midnight. Another big one that was talked about during the Xbox Developer Direct was Ninja Gaiden 4. I'm not personally a huge fan of the Ninja Gaiden series, but I know that I feel like there's a pretty significant overlap with like FromSoft and people who like difficult games. So Ninja Gaiden 4 I think is going to be pretty big amongst the crowds. And the piece de la resistance of the Developer Direct was to talk about Doom: The Dark Ages, which we all kind of knew that they would talk about soon-ish, because we were all picking like a middle of the year time frame for it, since the Doom games tend to come out in the first half of the year. And yeah, Doom: The Dark Ages is coming out just around my birthday, May 15th. So yeah, looking forward to Doom: The Dark Ages. They're really emphasizing the shield, and there's going to be a lot more, like, they're really mixing things up with the gameplay, and I'm very curious how the shield kind of amps things up, and as it's used defensively but is also extremely offensively as you rip and tear through demons. There's also a dragon and a mech suit, so but it all be pretty interesting. So I'm kind of excited to wield my super shotgun boomstick and run around in that. So that's probably one of my big anticipated titles of the year, and looking forward to that. Speaking of titles coming out soon that I am excited for, Assassin's Creed Shadow. A lot of games media seems to have had access to like an early play or build for it, because there's a lot of people talking about it. I'll have a link down below for you to check out gameplay, but from what I've read, it sounds like it somehow splits the difference between like the Assassin's Creed games that are, the older ones that are like just stealth mechanics and how can I figure out this kind of like puzzle to get to my target, but also has the like open world action RPG, I'm a badass and can beat everybody up, Assassin's Creed games. So it sounds like those were the two characters kind of split, and you'll be able to have to play both, even if you prefer one. So, but it seems like it's fun. It sounds like it's gonna be fun either way you play it. So, yeah, I think that a lot of people are talking about it, and that maybe it's worth the wait and the recent delays to give it another month in the oven to bake. So, looking forward to that. Speaking of Assassin's Creed, now that Assassin's Creed Shadows represents the 14th installment in the Assassin's Creed franchise, my God, that's hard to say, and quite amazing. They are working on a launcher, like a hub that you can launch all your Assassin's Creed games from. So I don't think it's going to be the primary or only way that you can kind of hub and play your games, but they're making an Animus hub, so that you can launch all of your Assassin's Creed games from it, which is pretty cool. And I've got, oh gosh, my wife probably have more than I do, but I've picked up a lot of Assassin's Creed games in my time, so trying to put them all in one place would be quite cool. Seems like anytime anybody asks anything from Tim Sweeney of Epic Games, he only sits there and grinds his teeth about his fight with Apple and Microsoft, which is another thing that we saw in an interview this week. Again, talking about how Tim Sweeney wants to break down the walled gardens and continues the fight with Apple and Microsoft, and how he's the little guy, even though he's Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite. Though Tencent is a tech investment company, one of the largest in the world, so it's going to be kind of hard to play that Tim Sweeney is the little guy in this situation. But I'm starting to think that there's no good guys in this fight. I think it is obviously better for the consumer if anybody can put their apps on Apple and and they could go around it and make their money without having to go through Apple or Microsoft's ecosystem. As far as like PCs and phones, but yeah, Tim Sweeney makes it pretty hard to be on his side. So if you want to check out the article, I'll have a link down below for you to check out on that. Speaking of good guys, it sounds like there might be a couple of good guys over there at Pocket Pair, the company that made Pow World. They said they're, after all the money they made with Pow World, what they're looking to do with it is help other indies reach their success. So, they're hopefully making, it sounds like they're making like a fund for indie games. And, the whole Valve model, make one really good game and then just rest on your laurels and then turn into a platform for people to buy games, other people's games from. So that felt a little bit too harsh on Gabe Newell. There's obviously some depth there, and there's more than one good game coming out of Valve. But they haven't produced a game in a couple decades now. So I'd love to see Valve get back into publishing. But I digress. Yeah, apparently they're trying to start up a fund. I know a lot of the funding, like the Game Pass funding and the Epic Games funding, all kind of dried up, and that's also contributing to the kind of mass exodus in the games industry, as indie developers don't kind of have those cash beds to kind of go from, or their cash wells to dig from. So if Pocket Pair can create one of those, that'd be pretty cool. And yeah, good use of uh, you know good use of money from the company that has had a lot of recent success. So yeah, good on them. Speaking of money in video games, I also read an article this week talking about how we're at a unique opportunity coming up with GTA 6, which I between us, I don't think is going to hit this year, but that's just my opinion. But a couple of developers were talking and during an interview, and we're like, hey, what if GTA 6 was $100? And that kind of got the whole pricing and inflation of video game prices, and we've all heard the story about how it was $50, and then Call of Duty was 60, and then it became 60 forever, and now with the current gen, they're kind of trying to push that 70, but it doesn't quite stick all the time. And yeah, I could see GTA would probably still sell a bajillion units at $100 and would make back their money a lot faster. But yeah, I don't know that will necessarily apply to the rest of AAA's. Like I feel like GTA is a unicorn in the situation in the industry, and that trying to establish that as a standard base price for the Call of Duty games, which people just play the multiplayer anyway, and Warzone, or all the sports titles where people are spending most of their money on the games, on the in-game like characters or rosters and all that kind of stuff. So less on the actual base game itself, especially when these are annualized titles. So yeah, I could definitely see the industry pushing to another kind of price point, but and that technically raises all the ships. Like if $100 is the new base price for any video game, that means indie games can come out at $75 and still be sub premium or sub standard. So like that's a way to increase again funding in games. But yeah, I don't know that every other AAA can kind of demand the price that gets put on GTA, and GTA could just come out at $70 and still sell a grillion units. So anyway, I obviously have a lot of opinions on this and have been following it for quite some time, and am very invested in it because it represents the industry that I work in. But yeah, I think it's always fun and interesting conversation about the inflation of the base price of video games. So yeah, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Coming from a developer that doesn't want fame or fortune, Balatro continues to get showered with praise and awards, and now has reached another significant milestone in its sales. This week they announced that they hit 5 million units sold of Balatro. So I still haven't picked it up, although I'm very much on the teetering on the edge of buying it on mobile. That probably includes mobile sales since they launched on mobile last month. I think it was in December or late last year. So I assume that has been a boon to the economy. And um, again, not going to stop bringing up that the developer or the creator doesn't want fame or fortune, which feels bad because he struck gold and is now complaining about it. But I digress and don't want to dwell on that. Moving right along, everyone's favorite triangular chip is going square. To celebrate the Minecraft movie, Doritos are going to make square versions of their chips. Very Minecrafty, Minecraft based on blocks and voxels and all that kind of stuff. And they're going to have a creeper flavor, which seems to be vinegar. Although if it doesn't have Pop Rocks on it, I don't know that it's doing it right. But also, Pop Rocks on a chip feels weird, but I'm not going to. I still think, if my mouth is bubbling after I bite into a Dorito, something else is probably wrong. But yeah, so to celebrate the Minecraft movie, there's a collaboration between Doritos and Minecraft. So looking forward to checking out some weird Minecraft Doritos flavors. The developers of Celeste, named Extremely OK, I didn't actually know that that was the name of the developer, but they have canceled their next game called Earthblade. They've been working on it for a while and had a long kind of post this week saying that their next game, which is going to be similar to Celeste in the same vein of like a 2D platformer, but they can't. They won't be continuing the game. So they announced it this week. They're going to focus on what they know best, and after they've kind of finished mourning. So sucks to hear that, and I know that it affected a lot of people. And Celeste is a highly regarded game. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next. Last but not least, this week another game caught my eye, and it sounds like, or it looked like, what if Firewatch, but in Jeeps. You're like a series of Jeeps, and you're moving from camping spot to camping spot, and it's just kind of a chill vibe with the same kind of art style as Firewatch. And it's called Over the Hill. So I'll be adding that to my wish list this week. But it gave me all those like chill Firewatch vibes where you're just kind of moving along and trying to contact and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that looked like pretty cool. So I'll have a link down below for you to check it out. That's it for this week. Let me know if you feel I forgot anything down below in the comments. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye-bye.